And you're with City Talk 105.9. Now, I'm joined in the studio by somebody who is, well, looking for your help, really, to sign an e-petition. It's an e-petition to honour a Merseyside soldier more than 30 years after he lost his life fighting for this country in the Falklands, the Battle of Mount Longdon, on June the 12th, 1982. We're talking about the story of Corporal Stuart McLaughlin, and his brother Mark joins us in the studio now. Mark, very good morning to you. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, thanks for having me.
Just tell us about Stuart. He served in the armed forces, sadly died just over 30 years ago, and you're starting an e-petition and a campaign to honour him for his achievements in war.
Yeah, this campaign has been going on now over 30 years since after Stuart was killed, and we were told the stories of what Stuart did during the battle for Mount Longdon. Initially by his officer commanding Major Mike Argue, who explained at a memorial in Aldershot shortly before Stuart was buried, he had put Stuart up for the highest award for gallantry. 30 years on, we've put every piece in the jigsaw. We're now at the point where we can categorically state exactly what happened to Stuart's citation.
So, for his bravery on the battlefield, somebody wrote up a citation which would say, I recommend this soldier for the highest possible honour, the Victoria Cross, presumably. And it seems that was lost. It was a bit of paperwork which hasn't been filed correctly. Do we know what happened to it?
Well, what happens is any citation given by the military commanders never actually specifies a particular award. What they actually specify is certain terminology that's used later by the Honours and Awards Committee to decipher and make a decision on what award. And certain terminology is used for the highest awards. Officer commanding Major Mike Argue referred to his citation about Stuart as Corporal McLaughlin led his section like a demon on the rocks of Mount Longdon that night. This was McLaughlin at his best. That then was passed to his commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Hugh Pike, and Hugh Pike then wrote a second citation, which is the citation then that should have been passed to Warrant Officer Second Class Dave Rowntree. Unfortunately, they were in a filthy house in a 3 days after a battle in Port Stanley, and it was lit by a paraffin lamp, and they were using an Argentine Olivetti typewriter to actually type up British awards for gallantry, and there were some 60 citations, and Stuart simply didn't get from Lieutenant Colonel Hugh Pike to the only guy that typed all the citations, which was Dave Rowntree, who later retired as a captain.
And you've got a paper trail for this from Hugh Pike, who says, yes, I did write this, and I've rewritten it to show you what was in it. And you've also got a message from Dave Rowntree, I think, via social media, which says, well, I never received it. So if you want a paper trail, you've absolutely got the evidence that on the day and of the moment that citation was there, and the honour or process for receiving an honour should have begun.
That's absolutely correct. We have got that paper trail, and also we've got another document that explains how this thing actually most likely has not actually happened, in that WO2 Rowntree had typed up some 20 or 30 citations. Unfortunately, it was typed on the wrong paper, and the headshed, the powers that be, had sent a signal down saying all citations of a certain type must be typed on Army form ABC 123, whatever it was. I don't know the exact Army form. Clearly, that caused some consternation, and it's understandable that pieces of paper did go missing.
This was your brother, so as well as sort of fronting the campaign, presumably there's the pride in your brother and what he achieved as well, and presumably you've spoken to many people who've spoken about his involvement in the Battle of Mount Longdon, and you probably heard first-hand accounts about the bravery that he did show.
Absolutely astonishing stories of what Stuart did during that 10-11 hour battle on Mount Longdon. I could quote from the citation that Hugh Pike has written. I could quote from a book by Jimmy O'Connell, who I would say has written the definitive book on the Battle of Mount Longdon, called 3 Days in June. And it's McLaughlin did this, McLaughlin did that. He was a powerhouse of energy and leadership, astonishing bravery for that entire period. And you've got to bear in mind, there was a lot of officers in charge that were injured. The leadership had gone, and Stuart literally took control of the north side of that mountain and led, directed and helped all the people in B Company during that battle.
Now, you brought the citation written by Hugh Pike with you today. I'll just read out a quote from it, because it'll give people a flavour of what was achieved by Corporal Stuart McLaughlin during that battle. It says here, during the engagement, such engagements as these, McLaughlin was observed assisting another soldier under fire in open ground with his 84mm Carl Gustav anti-tank weapon, which misfired several times, after which McLaughlin grabbed a 66mm rocket launcher and neutralised the enemy bunker before assaulting it single-handed using grenades and killing 3 of the enemy.
The famous thing that Stuart said to his men is, when they were under heavy SF fire, that's sustained machine gun fire, he stood up when this sustained fire was coming down all over, and he said, "Come on lads, follow me," because he knew if he didn't move his section, that section would succumb to that SF fire. And he moved them along, he charged ahead, they followed him into cover, and all of Stuart's section actually survived the Battle of Mount Longdon, a couple being injured, Grant Grinham to name but one.
So there are people who are alive today who otherwise would be dead if it wasn't for the actions of your brother.
There's a lot of people that were on Mount Longdon during that battle that today know they're here because of what Stuart did. I've been told that by many of them.
He never received formal recognition for what he did, and the family haven't received the formal recognition either, but you're gathering support now, and there's an e-petition for that recognition to be officially given. It's on the e-petition page of the government website. People just type in Stuart McLaughlin, they'll get the details there. That can come up and they can lend their support. You've got support of the Wallasey MP Angela Eagle as well, and you've got a march on Downing Street on July the 4th. Just tell us about the support you've got for that.
Yeah, there is a march planned for July the 4th to march down Whitehall into Downing Street and present David Cameron with the petition, and also a letter asking for, more detailed investigation into this matter. The people that are coming on that march, and anyone is welcome to support Stuart, but are mainly ex-parachute regiment veterans, but all ex-military or serving military who know the story of Corporal Stuart McLaughlin. We would willingly like to come to this march. And as I say, most of the guys that were on Mount Longdon with Stuart are there to support him.
And am I right in saying that he was just 27 when he died? Was that within the same battle at which he showed such great courage?
He was a young 27-year-old man who had become a father in February of that year to young Stuart, and Stuart I think was born early February, and Corporal McLaughlin actually got on the Canberra to sail down to the Falklands on the 5th of April. So he saw his son for a very, very short time. And we all know what it's like when you become a parent, and then he went into battle and behaved the way he did. It's absolutely incredible.
Corporal Stuart McLaughlin, if you type that in, as I say, to the e-petition page on the government website, you'll find the e-petition as it comes through, and you can lend your support to that one as well. Mark, thank you for your time today. Best of luck with it. We'll hopefully keep on top of the story and follow it through. Hopefully, if you get to, am I right in saying 10,000 signatures, you'll get some sort of notification that it's been read or it has been noted, and then 100,000 would spark an actual debate in the House of Commons.
There is an acknowledgement at 10,000, and I would just ask all the people from Merseyside. This is a son of Merseyside who did astonishing things and really should have received the last Victoria Cross of the 20th century. So at 100,000, the pressure then is on politicians to sit in the House of Commons and discuss this. So please give us your support.
There you go. That's a link to the e-petition is now on the City Talk Twitter feed and on the City Talk Facebook page as well. Just posting that now. Just search for City Talk 105.9 on Facebook. You'll find a link there to the e-petition site. It's also on the City Talk Twitter feed there. So maybe if you've just been listening to that, you follow City Talk 105.9, you know people who've served in the armed forces, you want to show your support that way, maybe retweet that, get them to click on it. You know people who are close to the family, or you just want to, having listened to that, show your support to Stuart McLaughlin and the family there, including his brother Mark, who I've just spoken to. It's on their Twitter feed and the Facebook feed, and if you want a link to it, email the show. I'll happily send you that to breakfast@citytalk.fm. That's breakfast@citytalk.fm.